The Joint Appropriations Committee, roll call.
Senator Driscoll.
Aye.
Senator French.
Here.
Senator Guru.
Here.
Senator Larson.
Here.
Representative Alleman.
Excused?
Representative Angelos. Here. Representative Haroldson.
Here.
Representative Pendergraft.
Here.
Representative Sherwood. Here. Representative Smith.
Here.
Co-Chairman Bear.
Here.
Chairman Salazar.
Here. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
So today we're going to be talking about interim topics for the Joint Appropriations Committee. And what I'd like to do is start out with my co-chair talking about his suggestions, and we'll just go down the list. But with that, I will hand it over to my co-chair and he can talk about some of his ideas for the interim topic.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chairman. Really appreciate everybody being here today. And these are some important times when we can make a real impact on the people of Wyoming's lives and futures. And so there's been quite a bit of talk and discussion about the Wyoming Business Council. Multiple people have entered that in as a subject matter for this committee to study, and I'm enthused about that. I know that there is concern about members of this body taking up that subject based on our actions during the budget session and prior to that. And I want to dispel some of those concerns. I do believe that the body has spoken, and that's not where the body is at. And so I think it's important that we start on this path of reformation. I have spoken to the chairman, at least of the House Minerals Committee, and our intention is that if we take up this subject, that would be the committee where that is housed for the future, and they would join us. They have a lot of subject matter that they're going to take up this summer, so they would not join us for the entire summer, but at least the last meeting if we take this subject up. And so I think that's a good direction for us to go. But my commitment is that we're going to look at reform, not removal of this entity for now. And I think that that's a worthy task for this body to take on. We did, I believe, a tremendous job last summer working on fire mitigation. And I think the outcome is going to be prove that our work is worthy of another opportunity to take on a very difficult subject. And so I would say if we take up that subject, we will do good work for the people of Wyoming. And with that, there's a couple other subjects, co-chairman, that include reviewing the Wyoming retirement system, which my good Representative Sherwood on my committee has entered in. And I think we should look at that. And I also appreciate your concern about the deaf and blind, and I think we should look at that subject as well. So we could virtually take up all the subjects that have been entered in, and I think we could do a great job on it this summer.
So, Mr. Co-Chair, I'm going to let everyone have their say. I'll just simply make the simple comment that I would agree with you that the Wyoming Business Council is something that we should look at. I think it will be a big lift, but I think we also have time during the summer to take a look at it. I also appreciate your comment working in unison at some point with the Minerals Committee if they're bringing that up. But I will entertain anyone on the committee that has a comment, suggestions on this first topic of the Wyoming Business Council. Anyone? Yes, Representative Pendergraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just want to take an opportunity to say, as everybody knows, I've been pretty outspoken where the Wyoming Business Council was concerned. I would echo the good chairman's comments. The body has spoken, and I understand that. And I might just color that a little bit by saying that in junior high and high school, I was a wrestler. And when you make a wrestling move, you make that move entirely through the body that you're trying to move. In other words, you don't go up and just kind of push a little bit. You play to win. And I did that. And I think I achieved more than I expected. And I'm sorry if this sounds a little personal, but I look forward to helping make it into what the body feels it should be. And I am excited about that. I am also just wanted to throw out real quickly the countywide consensus funding, which kind of goes hand in hand with that. I think is a tremendous opportunity, and I look forward to digging into that. Thank you.
Senator Larson.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I think bringing up the business council as a topic is fantastic. We can talk about maybe a reorganization or such. The bodies have spoken and want to keep it around, and I think we can make it better. And I agree. I think countywide consensus should be the next one to discuss.
Who else? Senator Rue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I agree that the Business Council is a worthy topic of this committee, I too, and I appreciate the fact that the chairman's talked to the House Chairman of Minerals, but it is a Minerals Committee home, and that's the business for them, it's the Business Council. So I understand you talked to the House Chair, and that's great. I would just ask that all materials that we get, all minutes of all meetings that we have, all information that we disseminate about the Business Council gets sent to every member of the Minerals Committee so they can weigh in at any time with us. And then as the good chairman said, been invited to the last meeting, that's great, but all the way through, I think they should be kept fully informed. I think that was the intent. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Co-Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. That's a great point. I need to make a comment that kind of plays off of what the good senator just said. And it's not just an invitation, but it would be a combined meeting where both committees are working together to finalize our solutions. And I agree that with the sharing of information throughout our process as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Representative Harrelson and then my Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. So looking at it as this last year, we had the opportunity to pretty deeply dive into DD waiver and then also our wildland fire situation. I do appreciate this concept of picking kind of a singular concept, or this, in that case, that was two, but this one being a little more singular and saying, hey, let's really dive deep into this. Because I do believe that looking at what they're funding, what they're doing, what their scope and goal is, what their vision is, I think all of that is going to be a beautiful opportunities this summer to have those conversations and get back to what was originally intended in '97 when the Business Council was brought into existence. And so definitely for that, I believe with that, the consensus grants are definitely something that will be a huge part of that. And I think they go hand in hand, they're married. And I think that it's going to give us an opportunity to really make sure that we're getting the ROI that the people deserve to have out of this, and look forward to working with them. So definitely behind it, and think that it's a good way. And as the good senator did bring, I think it has to be a partnership. So I would even challenge maybe beyond that final meeting, possibly there being some intercollaboration with some of those members off of the main 2-day meetings. Because one of the things that I found last year is it's going to require people to work beyond the 2-day meetings to have this conversation in a way that it needs to be had. So maybe just even have that conversation beforehand of, hey, if there's a couple people passionate that want to go and do deeper dives into this, that they have that ability.
So Mr. Vice Chair and then my co-chair.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you, Representative Harrelson. That was going to be my exact is I actually think the Business Council, and I like your approach. We've all heard. I think this is from the bottom up all the way across consensus grants, all of it. And I think it's worthy of an entire 2-day meeting that's only Business Council that you do all day long. And I realize how tedious that can be, but I can tell you for me, it's been a learning experience. I had no clue the depth of their programs, the depth of their loans, the depth of what they do. And I think, we've got to understand what they've got before we start through the entire smorgasbord of where it all falls and how it does. And I applaud your side because I don't treat it as a wrestling match. I'm a wrestler and, I wrestle to win as well, but I don't treat this as a wrestling match. It's how do we help recreate something that can be an economic driver for the state of Wyoming. And, we really have to be to the point. I think this committee, if they're going to take it on, we need to focus on our economic future. We all see what's coming, and if they're not playing a key role in it after this, it's our fault. And we really need to take the depth. So I think it's just absolutely critical, however many days it takes. It's probably the biggest thing that will happen out of this committee for multiple years if it's done correctly. So I encourage us to really take the dive, be prepared to spend the time and get it done and do it right. Thank you.
Mr. Co-Chair.
Thank you. I apologize, Mr. Co-Chair, for continuing to interject as you're trying to go through the members of the body here, but I did want to address Representative Harrelson's comments and applaud him for the work last summer of doing those deep dives outside of our committee meetings. And I do encourage the body to do that with the Wyoming Business Council too, is, having those offsite meetings, really digging deep, getting the knowledge level where we can make good decisions as we bring legislation to the body. And I'd also like to say about the consensus grants, it definitely is a tie-in to this particular subject. But the particular effort really should be to make sure that the statutes are strong and well-defined, but also a long-term funding source for that subject. So I think that's how we really should define the work that we do on that portion of the Wyoming Business Council and Economic Development.
Senator Guru.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. We were talking about other subjects. I want to further, kind of chime in with what the chairman said at the beginning. I think the consensus group, that might fold right in with the business council, and that maybe those two go together. And the state commission for the blind and the deaf school, I think is another one that, well, it might not take it won't take as much time, but I definitely want to, I know that's something that we talked about a bit on our side and would like to keep that there. But the other one, the big one for me is the talk about the retirement system. This year in the budget, as we all know, we decided to take off the sideboards and let the folks at WRS pay their money managers, what they need to pay. And that was the decision of this group and the decision of the body. I'll see how the governor goes along with it, but I would anticipate he would. But for me, it's important to remember that, so while we're going to take funds from that to spend on those money managers who are well deserving and doing a great job, we really need to take a deep dive into what the people who are paying for that and how that's going and assess logically. And there's been a lot of talk around, some ideas floating around about if we do this well on our investments and if we have this much actuarial soundness, that maybe there isn't something we could do. I think we need to explore that. It's something that I'm getting, all the way through the process. I know it was in the budget on your side. About a 13th check came out in the negotiations, but I think that's right at the top of the list for me as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So there's a number of ways we can go through this. I think I'm hearing general consensus, though. Yes, and we'll get to that. I'm hearing general consensus, though, from at least the committee that an emphasis of going through the Wyoming Business Council is something that we would all want to see on an interim topic. Is there anyone who feels that is not a priority that we should go forward with? Okay. I'll get public testimony before the ending, but I do want to have a discussion on these other topics as well, and then public comment can go to anyone that we've talked about. I guess I will talk for a minute about what I put down, which is a discussion with regard to a commission for the blind and deaf. Specifically, I'd like to go into the some type of a funding evaluation of services that affect our blind and deaf community, who I think have not received the attention that was deserved over the past years. I want to look at it from the standpoint of a funding issue. I would also like to hear testimony from those communities with regard to whether or not our state services are servicing them in the way that they think is helpful to them. I know that they have come to me to talk about a possible state commission for the blind and deaf. I'd like to hear arguments on both sides of that, but I think this is a community that I feel that we need to evaluate the financial state funding for these services and whether or not we are actually helping these communities in regard to state funding. And I'm open to any discussions with regard to that. Anyone? Yes, Representative Harrelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just looking at the request in our packet, there isn't an amount of time, number of days, conversation here. So first question would be that, what are you anticipating or picturing? And then the second thing I would ask is, I know you've been kind of general, but I want maybe to drill a little more specifically. Obviously, if you put this in, you already have somewhat of a goal in mind of what you're hoping for. So is it a situation where you're looking for kind of, and I'm picturing maybe almost like DD waiver type feel, look for blind and the deaf? Can you just kind of give me a little bit more context, please?
Yes, absolutely. Good question. So I think I would be looking at half a day on this issue. I would like an overview of what the state actually spends in social and health services with regard to the deaf and blind. I'd also like testimony from that community about whether or not the state is meeting the needs of those communities, from children to senior citizens. And then I would like to hear testimony about a possible state commission on the deaf and blind community. I don't know if I'm advocating for that, but I know that I've received enough feedback that there are those in that community who feel that though that type of a commission has worked very well in other states. And I'm open-minded. I'm not trying to direct an agenda. I just want to hear whether or not those communities are being given the services that they need, not only for children, but for adults and seniors as well. And I think, again, I would be looking at only, well, not only, I would be looking at half a day. I think that would be enough time. So those are my thoughts. So I wanted to put that out there. Representative Sherwood, did you have something that you wanted to bring forward as well?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I am not a wrestler, but I am a door knocker. And the reason I submitted these requests for a review of our retirement system and our COLA is because it is something I hear continually in the grocery store or while out door knocking. And my understanding is that this topic impacts 35,000 of our constituents. And it has been something that I feel like we have neglected in terms of policy and in using either that investment income to provide COLAs or adjustments. But definitely do think it's time to do a deep dive into this topic and make sure that we're taking care of our, those hardworking folks who served us and now are retirees in our communities. Thank you.
Okay, any discussion, questions? Okay, thank you. Representative Angelos, did you have anything that you either wanted to mention or comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think part of it is a lot of the same things have been echoed, so I'm trying not to repeat, but definitely Wyoming Business Council. I mean, we all see that forefront and was kind of a spear point during this budget session. So that is definitely on the list. The consensus grants, that goes hand in hand with that. That was overwhelmingly voted on the House floor. And I know that's important to our chamber. And so I'm going to push that forward as a member of that group and to answer the question, because that was a big question and something that was given up in our negotiations. And so I'm going to speak for the chamber and the people and my people back home that are in a little tiny community that it would make a big difference. So thank you.
Okay. Who else? Who else would like to? Mr. Vice Chair, anything?
No, just support the topics we're at. I think we've got a good list and we've got where we can go in depth. Thank you.
Okay. Representative Smith, anything? Representative Scott Smith.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, no, I support the ideas of the committee and looking forward to it.
So, yes, Senator Larson.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I think I see 6 topics is what I think I see. I'm not sure if that's true, but at some point, are we just going to send you our priority list? Is that something we're going to do?
So Senator Larson, you go right ahead and talk about whatever topic you'd like to on this list.
Mr. Chairman, I'm good with all the 6.
Okay. Is there anyone in particular that you
I would
feel
give,
strongly about?
I would give you my list and rankings, but I don't know if you want me
Go
to.
right ahead.
Okay, I would like Business Council first, county-wide consensus second, retirement third, statutory cleanup fourth, commission blind and deaf fifth, and Hathaway sixth.
Okay. Director Richard, yeah, no, Director Richards, typically, what is past precedent? Do we vote on specific items that we want on the interim list, or do the chairs make final decisions? How has that been done in the past?
Mr. Chairman, either approach is fine.
Okay,
Some committees do take a straw poll. Some committees just discuss like you did and defer to the chairs. And staff will work with chairs to develop the list of topics in the letter
Okay.
to Management Council. Before you leave, if I might interject, you have one statutory responsibility, barring a change on third reading. There will be a meeting or a recommendation required to be sent to the governor on October 1 or before regarding the external cost adjustment for K-12. That typically, in the recent years, has been the option of a Zoom meeting and has been done jointly with the JEC rather than separately. If that's, and it's the last 2 years, I believe, have been done half-day meetings, if that
when
means.
does that occur?
Sometime in the month of September.
Okay, good to know. Absolutely. Well, Mr. Co-Chair, what are your thoughts? I guess one of the advantages that you and I both have been pretty intimate with regard to our committees as far as communicating. Maybe we should ask, well, let me hear your thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chairman. So listening to Senator Larson's list, I'd forgotten there were some other subjects matters in there, including the Hathaway Scholarship. And I think we run a real risk if we broaden our scope too much. So I'm going to suggest that we really narrow it down to 3 things, which I would suggest are the Wyoming Business Council, including the work on the consensus grants, which includes the long-term funding source for that. Of course, the discussion on the commission of the deaf and blind, and that would be a half a day out of our schedule. And then thirdly would be these discussions. I would wrap all of the Wyoming retirement system into one subject matter, and we can break that down as to what we want to get accomplished in there. As far as how we do it as a committee, I'm ambivalent. I like the whole committee having a say in it rather than just us as chairs making the final decision. So I would be good with a vote, but I would suggest that we really narrow it down to no more than those 2 large subjects and the smaller subject of the deaf and blind.
I would agree with you. Let me take public comment now. We have 4 chairs. Come all up and fill them, and let's hear what you have to say.
Mr. Co-Chairman,
Yes.
while they're coming up, I would just say that, the Hathaway and the award for, all those other things, I think can easily be handled in other committees. So would recommend maybe the Education Committee take on that subject.
Introduce yourself and take it away.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Ashley Harpstreet. I'm the Executive Director for Wyoming Association of Municipalities. I also am the Administrator for Wyoming Economic Development Association, a recovering economic developer. So I absolutely love this topic on the Wyoming Business Council and just alignment with state and local efforts around economic development. per my testimony that you guys heard over and over this session, is that the consideration we want you guys to maybe think about as you explore this topic is the funding mechanisms, accountability, statutory authority, as there are things, as with some of the bills you guys deep dived in, that are irrelevant now or potentially could be in different agencies, since a lot has changed since 1998. And then program performance is extremely important to all of my members and metrics. There's a lot of programming out there that's duplicating efforts that is already on the ground. And we would like better coordination and facilitation of that with the state. With that said, a lot of my little communities definitely rely on that. So it just needs to be synced and tightly tied together. We were recently named in an email from the Wyoming Business Council talking about reform, and we've had lots of conversations with some of their board members, but there has been no formal engagement with either WAM, and I'm speaking on the behalf of WCCA as well, and WIDA, which were the three organizations named that they want to work with. So we're hoping that we can maybe drag them to the table or butt our way to the table if we're going to be in their press release. And then finally, with the consensus block grant, I think you guys are absolutely on the right track. Let's get away from picking winners and losers. I wrote an editorial before you guys went into session, and I said, quit picking winners and losers and let's pick ourselves. Let's pick our communities. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that with you guys going this way. The long-term funding source, I'll beat the dead horse. You have all heard me, predictable and reliable funding, especially as it comes to infrastructure in the communities, makes us turnkey for everyone, for all businesses, and it stays in the state and it stays in the community, and we don't have to worry about who comes and goes. We'll have something to market if a business doesn't fail, that's okay. Like we need to modernize that. Like failure happens with ideas, but the infrastructure and investment stays in the community, and we have something to remarket to them. And looking at the infrastructure deals with systematic problems like housing. That's not housing going to developers and us being developers, but that's like us bringing water, sewer, I'm not going to say stormwater, but potentially stormwater, things like that when we're dealing with, in Cheyenne with a large expansion towards the Front Range, that we have to make it turnkey so these guys can come in and get what they need to get done. So with that, I would defer to my partner in crime this session, Mr. Brad Enzi from Laramie.
Welcome.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I appreciate the insight and deep thought into the topic that was taken over the last interim and some of the issues that it highlighted. I don't think that we ever have it, as a community economic developer, it's more, what are the tools? What are we trying to recruit? Who are we trying to recruit? And what are the mechanisms we do it? And those are the questions that we really have to sort out. And where do those tools lie? Who's accountable for them? And we've already launched as WIDA kind of a game plan to go around and meet with all 23 counties, help get some of those answers so that it's beneficial and we can have that at our hand as WIDA when you join to meet on this topic. That'll probably take us through June, at least probably through July. So if we could push it to a later summer topic, I think it might be more beneficial so that we have all the information that would be pertinent from all 23 towns and counties to make this a beneficial work session. I don't think it's in the interest of the people of Wyoming or the interest of any economic developer for us to come half loaded and half shot. So that would be my only request in it, is that if we could move it later in the interim time period, that we'll have more data and better information for you.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
I did have a survey out during session to all membership to find out what's working, what's not working. So we have begun that process, but Mr. Enzine, I think it'd be very beneficial to get in boots on the ground, face to face, kind of see. There's magical stories in every community of what they're doing and what that looks like. Goshen County, where I'm from, small businesses, big business. And that looks a lot different than where he's originally from in Gillette, where they're doing lots of coal diversification and marketing all sorts of different types of mineral energy and development. Our friend Rusty Bell's giving the same testimony in minerals right now. So We hope to bring that as a package to you and try to work with the stakeholders. We also think August is important too, because you guys will be past a big primary, and we'll kind of have an inclination of the new players that will be at the table, including, you know, we're getting a new governor. And we hope the executive branch is part of this conversation, and the current administration, but we know that's changing, so.
Okay, any questions? Want to thank both of you. Appreciate it. And thank you for your testimony. Thanks. Who else? Come on up. Got plenty of seats here. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Jeremiah Reeman here on behalf of the County Commissioners Association. Appreciate the conversation about countywide consensus. We'll certainly be at the table for that conversation. One of my commitments to the speaker was to bring you a minimum of two, maybe 3 or 4 options about how we could pursue that sort of funding, what a model might look like, where the funding could come from. So you certainly have my commitment to roll up my sleeves and be at your disposal as we move forward.
How do you feel about this session?
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you asking that question and probably should have started there. I really want to extend a sincere thanks from my members and the communities back home. What you did with direct distribution, the work that we did together during the interim, and again this session, was remarkable, and we're deeply appreciative.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Who else would like to come up? Come on up. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Kevin Reddy, and I am the president of the Federated Firefighters of Wyoming. I also serve as the chairman of the Coalition for a Healthy Retirement. And we are really excited to see that there's a potential that we get to discuss some post-retirement benefits for our members. As mentioned by the committee, historically speaking, our last post-retirement increase happened in 2008, and it was only eligible to members who had been retired for 2 years. So the retirees have gone 20 years without a post-retirement COLA. With that, our active members have had significant increases in their contributions to the pension fund. This was all done to reach 100% funding. And as of this year, we have 2 funds that have crossed that 100% threshold, Fireman's B pension plan and the Judicial pension plan. And the word is from WRS that the Volunteer Firefighters Pension Plan will also cross the 100% threshold. So in this interim, we have a potential where we have plans that are eligible to receive a post-retirement benefit. And we'd like to lay out some parameters with you where we don't endanger the plan, keep that 100% funding model going, but give some revenue to our retirees that have held on for 20 years. And some encouragement to our members to keep working and complete their longevity in their careers and in their variety of different services across the state.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I am Ron Sniffen. I'm the Executive Director of the Wyoming Coalition for a Healthy Retirement. We have members that represent all members of state government, firefighters, educators, public employees, game and fish, law enforcement. And so the members that we represent are 30,000 plus retirees, 35,000 state employees. And we're here just to offer support and any information that we can to help in this interim topic. Thank you for considering it. We are talking about the hardworking men and women who serve this state over the years. And now that they're retired, they haven't seen any financial support for nearly 20 years. And so we're really eager to see this interim topic move forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your testimony. Any questions? Thank you both. Appreciate it. Who else would like to come up? Anyone? Anyone at all? Anyone at all? Is there anyone online?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'm going to wait for a second. Anyone at all? Okay, I'll close public testimony. I think at this point, it would be appropriate if anyone wanted to make a motion on any of these issues.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair.
I'll give my list, and then everybody can discuss it and beat it up. Number one would be business council, including consensus grant, put them together, combine those two. Number two would be the Wyoming Retirement Review. Three's deaf and blind. I think they're about the same, but deaf and blind doesn't take much. Four would be statutory cleanup. And I think we usually have time to do those, particularly if we look next day on it. But I'm happy to go up and down on the list. I think we've got plenty of time to do it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion discussion. Yes, Representative Pendergraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, I think you should make that a motion.
Make that motion. Do you want to make that?
Mr. Chairman, I would so move.
Is there a
Thank you.
second? There is a second discussion. Representative Harrelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't disagree with the list. I think it's probably about what we've already discussed. One of the things that I would just state is we're talking about like the blind and deaf conversation. You said half a day. From my experiences over the last couple of years as we've done this, let's do two 2-hour sections on two separate sets of meetings. Because a lot of times what happens is I'm driving home and get one of those, oh, wait a second. Why didn't we talk about that? And so let's be careful as we set that agenda up. I really think the other thing for me, at least, especially if we dive into the Wyoming Business Council, like I'm hoping and praying we do, we'll want 2-hour windows in there to take a breath and come up for air. And so I would just really challenge those number 2, 3, and 4s to be interjected in 2-hour segments in double meeting concepts.
So
Mr.
represent, yes. Yes.
Once again, rolled by the House. I'll second that. Don't do it twice in a day again, please.
I was just gonna congratulate Representative Harrelson on his wisdom. That's exactly what we should be doing. So other discussion? Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Mr. Co-Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I just want to make sure staff has got everything down and. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from any committee member? Senator Larson.
Mr. Chairman, when you do meetings, I would ask that they be in the center of the state when possible. And I can't make the October meeting, but just saying.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments with regard to the dates? You can certainly get with your chairman and take those under consideration. Mr. Co-Chair, is there anything else that we need to discuss at this particular meeting? Representative Bear? Okay. Any other comments before we adjourn? Thank you.